Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 61. This video will mostly deal with getting our new city ready to receive its first inhabitants. We will not reach that point just yet, but it will be close. I decided to go with the temporary road deliveries for consumer goods, most of which will get sorted by the end of the episode. In the next entry in the series, we will only need to sort out a bus line for the heating plant, and we will be more or less ready to go. Since I didn't want to sit idly by while those road vehicles get built, I also started beautifying the city. This will mostly involve those decorative ground texture we've been using for a while now, but we will also place down a monument or two, plant lots of trees and bushes, and we will also try to deal with the walkability of Mutigrad. I did place a couple footpaths before this episode, but they were mostly just a rough outline. Now that we have all the roads and buildings ready, we can start using the walk distance visualization tool to see where we might be able to help our citizens get from one place to another. Let's start by renaming the old Mutigrad delivery lines still sporting the old name. They should be saying Valentinsk, not Mutigrad. Next, we should order those temporary delivery vehicles as early as we can, so we can start using them ASAP. As the first step, we should build a bigger parking lot for them. As I've said at the end of the last episode, I did download a new road vehicle depot. It is made by the same guy who made our kindergartens, the small police station, and a couple other buildings. As you can see, it's a much bigger depot. It can store a lot more vehicles than the vanilla one. In the meantime, we have a couple more vehicles ready to go. We can send the 2 pavement rollers to the heli COs, and those 2 delivery trucks to the distribution office that will keep our new rail construction office supplied with materials. As for the buses, I think we can just set them loose in the city, but for that to work, we should make sure that the local fuel station is operational. Unfortunately, its electric substation is still not built, so there is no gas stored in it yet. Now that I manually assign that substation to the construction offices, it should be done relatively quickly. In the meantime, I'll just send these buses to the original road depot, and give them the green light when they have passengers to pick up. I also made sure to check up on our fuel production. I have the distribution set up in a way that favors domestic use over foreign exports. And yet, our export amounts are still slowly going up. I guess we are okay for now. Oh right. Almost forgot to order those new vehicles. We have 12 parking spaces in the Mutigrad distribution office, so that's how many small delivery trucks I ordered. As for the bigger, long-haul trucks, I decided to also get 12 of those. They will be responsible for moving the food, electronics, and clothes to our new city, all the way from Mikhailovia. Let's not forget about the meat. For that, I got 2 short-range trucks, and 4 long-range ones. At least for now. Later I will revise that last number down to 3. And we finally managed to whittle down our vehicle building backlog enough to build our first snowplow. They've been sitting in that queue for quite a while now. Okay. With that substation done, the entire town should have power at this point. With the town infrastructure more or less done, we can start checking the walking distances of our citizens. Yeah, it will need some work to make this city walkable. I think I will leave it at that for now, and check back on it when we built what I just placed down. While things are going on, we can start setting up the temporary delivery lines. We need 3 of them. One for food exclusively, another one for clothes and electronics, and a third for meat. I did fiddle around a bit with this one. I forgot that the game automatically merges completely identical lines. Without renaming them, before I start setting up the next one, the first 2 I made got merged. Just like that. We can make them different enough by renaming them, so all 3 lines are ready to when our trucks are done. There. I didn't bother making their names fit all that well into our naming scheme. They are temporary after all. And we got back to AutoZov just in time for our new road depot to be finished. It is a pretty one indeed. Let's see what color schemes we have available. That dark red trim with the beige looks quite nice. With 2 trucks done, we might as well assign them to each of our covered hull lines, so we can get started on filling up the Mutigrad warehouse. I also wanted to set up cargo limitations in the truck, so it can carry both clothes and electronics at the same time. I mess it up for a minute. I accidentally set it to pick up electric components, not complete electronics. But I'll fix it before I move on. Also, I will completely forget to set up this restriction for the trucks I will add later on, so they will most likely just fill themselves up with clothes. No big deal, that will be an easy fix for the next episode. There we go. Now this truck is configured correctly. Let's make sure it actually loads up some electronics before we let it go on its way. Perfect. By the way, I posted that poll I mentioned at the end of the last episode, and the results are in. The clear winner was the method where I would deal with the water between episodes, and explain my thought process as they get billed during the live recordings. So here's how I will go about it. I will try to get everything into a working shape after Monday's episode, and hopefully, we should have things ready to be built in next week's Friday video. I will make sure to set the more important buildings to notify me when they are done, so we can stop doing things, and I can spend a bit of time explaining why I did what I did. I don't have plans to make a dedicated tutorial video for this new system just yet. I am still in the learning phase, since I pretty much only play the game for making these episodes, so my understanding of the water feature is rudimentary at best. I don't rule it out, of course. I might do one sometime in the future, but don't expect a video dedicated to it anytime soon. Before I forget, let's set up the space allocations in the Mutigrad warehouse. We need 70% food, and 15% for the other two. I haven't done this for a long time, so I forgot how I managed to do this exact ratio before. But I will remember it later in the episode. Until then, we can just leave it at this not quite perfect ratio. We can also set up the internal deliveries from Mutigrad. Pick up at the warehouse, and unload at the town stores. And the prison, of course. I didn't check that prison, by the way. I can only hope the game didn't start cramming prisoners into it, since there are no guards present yet. We can also set up the material deliveries for the new rail CO. We have all the trucks, so that part is ready to go. Good thing I checked, there is no fuel delivered yet. I will later discover that the closest substation is barely out of reach, so we will need to add one a bit closer to the office for it to function. With nothing else going on, apart from waiting for those delivery vehicles, we might as well start building the rest of the town. That will include the rest of the heating network. We already have a pumping station at the edge of the city, which can connect up to 3 heat exchangers, so let's place that amount around the place. This should cover everything important. The 2 ends of the rail network around the city is about to be connected up. After that, we can start building some previously unreachable segments. That includes the straight segments of the Bobinski Junction. Also, the start of the warehouse branch. Now, let's start placing the pipes for the heating system. I thought I will need to manually duck under some of the cables, but we managed to find a path that can be built without the need to go too deep at any point. It seems we managed to introduce a halfway break into this last pipe. Let's see if we can build it without one. There. Since we placed the halfway point under the TV station, the game couldn't add one on its own. I think we managed to get away with this one. Well, we are still in waiting mode, so let's spend some quality time starting to beautify the city. As the first step, let's add the usual asphalt ground textures, so these open-ended connections look less out of place. This is where I realize that the rail CO has no power. We really need to fix this, since the track layers run on gasoline, and without power, they will not be able to refuel at the office. We have only one connection left on the first town transformer. Oh well, I didn't expect it to be enough anyways. I always planned on building more. Alright, we can start placing the pavement for these houses too. I think I'll add a little bit more, so the place in the middle doesn't look so barren. Alright. We have 5 more trucks we can send out. As I've said, I completely forgot to configure these trucks for the special double electronics and clothing deliveries. Hopefully, when I fix it in the next episode, we can do it without deleting too much goods from their cargo spaces. I also decided to add more trucks to the food delivery line. Citizens are more willing to forego the clothing and electronics for a little while, but they get really grumpy if they don't have food. For now, they have 4 trucks each, but later, I will start favoring the food line. Here, I decided to only build 3 refrigerated trucks for the temporary deliveries. I will only open one house at the start, so we can gauge the demand a bit better. Anyways, let's start placing some trees around the place. I almost forgot to add these new footpaths to the COs, no wonder they haven't been built yet. I will go around and add everything I can add, without adding the TV station itself. But don't worry. I will change my mind a bit later, and we will end up finishing that building in record time. We can also get started on the exit lane of the new rail construction office. I've been meaning to deal with the grass sticking through these rails for quite a while at this point, and since we are still in a waiting period, I decided to go for it. Boy, am I glad we invested in that local fire station. Fires are already happening in New Mutigrad. The grass was mostly clipping through the rails around the river bridge area. The rest of the place was relatively clean. Okay, that should be it. Let's keep working on the city. These monuments should be done by now. I guess they were out of range for a dumpski. Let's make sure they are added properly. Let's visit AutoZov and see how our orders are doing. It's a bit slow at the moment. At least we have 2 more trucks. Let's add both to the food delivery line. The warehouse is filling up nicely. If we open the local houses slowly, we should be able to cope with the demand until the trains are able to reach the city. After that, it's going to be a free-for-all. Anyways, this is where I finally remembered how to set that nice even 70-15-15% split in the warehouse. Now it's set up correctly. With this neighborhood done, we can add the walkways here as well. I wish there was an asphalt footpath. They would fit into this network so much better. I really don't like how this one interacted with the bus station. I guess we can make it a little bit more different in this case. Yeah, finding the right spot for a 45-degree turn is a bit trickier than making straight lines. I also didn't like that small white line sticking out of the house. Lengthening the path before the turn should take care of that. There we go. This fits into the area more than the original attempt. In the meantime, the substation for the rail CO was finished, and it now only needs a couple track layers, and some workers to function. Let's hope we can start it up in the next episode. Here, I got a little bit impatient with the progress of our vehicle orders. There was only one real solution to this. We only had 2 trains going to Autozov, and the Mikhailovia station had over 100 workers waiting for a pickup. Adding one more train should help speed things up a little. It might even reduce unemployment in the city. I wasn't sure which train model we were using for this particular line. I only knew that it was the double locomotive variety, but I had to check for its name to be sure. As for the passenger car, we might as well go with the highest capacity model. This is where I noticed that we were still using the old name for the Autozov commuter line. We can change that as well. Anyways, that should speed things up a little at our vehicle factory. By the way, earlier I decided to move the local delivery trucks to the top of the queue. We have quite a few big ones delivering stuff to the Mutograd warehouse. Maybe it's time to get started on the local distribution as well. At this point, I was ready to finish whatever little thing we might have missed in the city, and that included the TV station. So I just mass assigned the entire area to the 2 closest construction yards. Since we have most of the materials already present at the station, it will be finished quite quickly. Okay, wow. We had 3 helicopters land, and they managed to bring in 2 workers. That was not exactly what I expected. I guess the buses got to the Mikhailovia helipad first, since their office is right next to it, and the choppers had to fly in from Adumsky. Still, 2 workers for 3 helicopters. Okay, things are looking better now. Things will pick up from here on. "150 workers already. This TV station will be done in no time." Only 2 local trucks are built, but they are still going to be useful for the first deliveries. In the meantime, we can continue decorating the city. We finished with this neighborhood last, so let's continue here. These spaces are a bit too big for the small monuments. They should be more fitting for something bigger. Poplars will look great along the road. We can also have a small dense collection trees in this patch of land. For this one, I think 2 playgrounds will do nicely. This one will just be some greenery. We should let the vegetation mature, we will be better able to judge where we should add more at that point. And the TV station is progressing nicely. Less than 2,000 workdays left. We can also go around the city, and clean up some of these patches of packed dirt, and bring back some of the grass. We just need to make sure to avoid the tracks, we just finished cleaning them. We can also do some last-minute footpath extensions. The most central housing tower had a pretty good coverage, but the other two are not so lucky. That's better, now they can reach the central shopping center. We can also add individual footpaths to all these entrances to the stadium. That footpath was acting weird. And just as suspected, it was a rogue node on the road. And the TV station is done. Let's set it up to focus on propaganda, with a little culture, and a bit of anti-religious messages. The warehouse is full, and the delivery trucks are idle. It seems they already managed to fill up our local shops. Unfortunately, I forgot to set the usual goods ratios in them, so they will be stuck with having less than optimal amount of food until the clothes and electronic stocks get lower. And we have a lot of delivery trucks waiting for reassignment. Let's not keep them waiting. At this point, everything should be ready for this city to start operating. The last thing we need to take care of are the buses for the heating plant. Which is why I think I will wait until the weather warms up before I let people in. The heating plant is quite far away, and it will take a long time for microbuses to drive out there in the snow. The amount of time it would take for the first bus to arrive after the first citizens move in, that's more than enough to cause some deaths due to the lack of heating. How about we cap off the decoration part of this episode with a fountain? In fact, let's go for the big one. We only ever built the small and medium version, but never the large. I will wait for it to be built, just to see how the ground textures are set up around it. Then I will see if we need to change anything with the current setup. Before I sign off for today, let's make sure we have the necessary microbuses in the vehicle order queue. We will need them to start up the city. Let's start with 10. But I suspect that we might need more. We also have a refrigerated truck ready to go. Let's add it to the meat delivery line, right after we send that last small truck to the Mutigrad DO. There we go. We still need to add the local deliveries, but that is for the next episode. Speaking of, I don't think anyone is surprised when I say that the main focus in the next video will be the first citizens in Mutigrad. We have power, and for heating, we only need to add those buses, as well as deal with the coal deliveries for the heating plant. But that should be an easy job. We only need to electrify the tracks until that point, which should be done quite quickly. After that, we can just start hauling coal in from Ramosov. As for the different needs, well, those will be taken care of by the local bus services. Most of the people will live in the outskirts of the city, and they can take the local buses into the center, in case they want to get some culture. I might add one of those newly redesigned cinemas here and there, but the main source of entertainment will come from the center. For non-emergency healthcare, they can take the bus, and for emergencies, the ambulances should have enough coverage for the entire city. What might cause some issues is sports. For now we only have that stadium, and I think citizens would appreciate a couple indoor pools here and there. Anyways, I hope you liked the video. If you did, you can support me on Ko-fi, for which you can find a link in the description. If you are not the donating type, that is fine too. You can still support me by leaving a like, or subscribing to the channel, which just might motivate me to make more. Until then, see you later.